Thanks, Chris. Right now, the White House is considering a move that would recommend all Americans wear face masks. The first priority for the now in-demand protective equipment is for healthcare workers on the front lines. But as you probably have seen online, you can make a face mask at home. KIMT News 3's Kaylin Thompson spent her day learning how, and she now joins us live to teach us. Kaylin.
Amy, I am pretty impressed with the ladies and gentlemen who are whipping these face masks up at home using their sewing machines. I, for one, thought it was pretty challenging, but then again, I was doing this by hand. All I needed was a sewing kit, pieces of cotton fabric, and bias tape. Here's a look at how I did it. I started by measuring a rectangle on 2 pieces of cotton fabric. There should be a 9.5 by 6.5 inch rectangle on each. Then I cut them out. Next, I got out my bias tape, which to me is a fancy phrase for folded fabric, and measured 4 18-inch strips. After that, I pinned them to the 4 corners of the blue piece of fabric. I made sure everything was tucked in and then put the pink piece on top. I then pinned all the sides together to start sewing. I eyeballed a midway point on the bottom side of the fabric. I started sewing about a 1/4 inch above the edge, removing pins as I went. As you sew over the fabric ties secured in the corners, make sure the needle goes through the 3 pieces sandwiched together. That's the top layer, the end of the fabric tie, and the bottom layer. I continued stitching toward the starting point and stopped to allow for an 1.5 inch gap. Then I turned the project right side out with the fabric ties now sticking out. Finally, you want to make some pleats. This helps the mask conform to your face. Secure each pleat with pins and then sew each side. Well, this is a look at my final product. It's definitely not perfect or pretty, but who's really going for style at this time? But as people say also, it's better than nothing. Reporting live in Rochester, Kaylin Thompson, KIMT News 3.
Well, I know now who to ask to make me one. Thank you, Kaylin. Most craft stores will have the supplies you need to make a mask. It's important to note homemade masks are not as effective as manufactured ones.
I'm really impressed. In southeast Minnesota and North Iowa,